So continuing from previous video, and I was telling you about the facilities and the priority level. Now if you come over here, let's have a look at this one, that this kernel dot static. Then as I mentioned, that it would mean that this dot mean that every information or every severity level above the defined severity level should be logged in. Now over here it means that log everything because we have not defined anything, but let me just bring it down. Let me just try to edit it, and of course it will give us the warning because we cannot write it, but just to show you, let me write it. Let's say if it had been like this, kernel dot maybe warning, then this would mean that all the severity levels above warning should also get logged. But if we want that only warning level should get logged in, then we can do that by putting in an equal to sign after dot. So now only warning level messages will get logged. Another switch you can use is, let's say we do not want warning, but we want everything regarding kernel except warning. So we can do that by putting in an exclamation mark after the dot sign. So this will make sure that every message is regarding kernel level facility gets logged in except the warning level messages. Besides sending this logging facility information to different files, what we can do is that we can also make it go to a specific user. So for example, maybe if I am logged in, I can send the log message regarding kernel and not warning to myself by putting in my username. Or what we can also do is that we want that all the username or the specific username that we want, or the specific users of the Linux system that we want to have these messages sent to on their console, we can separate them using commas. So I can put in Emma, Tom, and comma, and Dick, and whatever other usernames that we want to add in. Another thing that you can do is like maybe at the moment what's happening is that all this logging is done at the local machine. What if we want that some messages should be sent to a remote server? So we can do that by putting in like @ sign and then the IP address, which could be like 1.1.1.1. Now this will send the messages in, and let me just remove these ones. So that's it. Now this will send the log messages using UDP protocol. If we want to send the log message using TCP protocol, we will append another @ sign. If I bring it down a little bit, we can also see some other default settings like mail.error will be sent to var log mail.err file, and similarly INN system will be sent to these files. Now let's get out of this and let's have a look at some of these files like varlog, auth.log, and varlog sys.log. So let's have a look at these files. So let's just get out of here and do an ls first to see the files in varlog directory. So we see that we have .syslog file, and we have auth.log file, and also we have got mail.error and mail.log file. We have also got boot.log file. So all those kind of files which are having the extension as .log, they pretty much have been created by the syslog server. So now let's have a look at this auth.log file or sys.log file by typing in let's just say maybe use more. So more than var and then log, and then afterwards auth.log file. So I press enter and we see that this is the date that is coming in at the time and the machine, and the session is lightdm, which is the display manager for Ubuntu, and we have got that it says that session open for user and user ID was 0. Similarly, we can see that we have this requirement. We have got this message which says that PAM succeed and says that requirement user in group, no password login not backed by user Ahmed. So all the messages, we see that this was a rejected one, and if we bring it down, we see that all the messages related to authentication, they have been put into auth.log file. Similarly, we can have a look at syslog.file, and this will be having all the information, as we had seen earlier, that this will have all the information about all the facilities and of all the priority levels except auth and auth privacy. So if we bring it down, we see that it has got a lot of information that we can sift through to see anything interesting for our own purpose. So for example, we have got this WiMAX related messages as well, and where we have enabled this, we have killed the switch, killed the radio signal using the switch, and once we enable it, then it comes back up again. And further you can see some other interesting stuff, for example related to this interface Ethernet 0, that whether it is going up or down, whether it has got the IP address or not. And likewise, if I bring it down, you see that even this one, that cron jobs, that user used a touch command to create a file by the name of cron file. So these messages are also being logged into this file. You can see that all these messages are commands. For example, this is over here. This is cmd, means command.
Now let's try to do one thing. Let's try to record one of our own log message into it using a utility which is called as logger. And if I show you the manual entry for logger, it says that it's a shell command interface to the syslog system log module. So we can type our own logging messages using a particular syntax and then send the output to syslog logging files. So let's try to do that. Let's just type in, let's say, logger, and then the facility name. Now we had seen that for customized levels, we had seen the range from local 0 to local 7. Remember that? So let's try to use local 4 and make its priority as maybe critical. And then afterwards, whatever message we want to type in. For example, this is just a test message. So once that is done, now this will be logged in using the syslog file because it was capturing all the information except auth and auth priv. So let's try to see the contents of that file by doing a tail of that, and tail var log and syslog, so that this shows us the last 10 lines of this syslog file. I press enter, and we see that the last entry that has been put it into the file is indeed the syslog message using the logger command that we have sent in. So you can use this command to test if your syslog server is working and is listening to the local message or not. Now once you start logging facilities on your Linux machine, what happens that your, especially some of the processes like Apache or maybe Radius, they are very chatty protocols, and it means that they produce a lot of logging, and soon your logging might consume up all the whole of your var directory, or maybe if it's on a separate partition, then whole of your partition. In those cases, what you would like to do is that you would like to rotate your log files, or it is also meant that you would like to compress them and delete the old ones. So by default for syslogging is rotated by the syslog itself, but for other processes we need to have a process which is log rotate, and it's a utility which uses a configuration file which is available at let's just have a look at that. If I type in vietc and log rotate.conf file, so that's the main configuration file for log rotate utility, and what it does is that by default all the logs of that we define in the system, and I'll just show you what I mean by that. What processes, some of the processes like Ubuntu Firewall or Apache, they define their own log rotation files, configuration files, and they are reflected in this directory, which is etc logrotate.d. We'll just have a look at that in a moment. So by default, it says that it will rotate the log files on weekly basis, and it will keep up to 4 weeks log files. So 4 files will be there. After that, what it will do is that it will in the 5th week it will create the new one, and the last one or the earliest one will be removed from the system. Whether we want to compress them or not, by default this is uncompressed. In this case, this is uncompressed. And also, this is what I mentioned, that packages create their own log files, and if a package does not create its own log file, then the information will either be put in WTMP or like in BTMP. We can define other files for other processes over here as well. So now let's look at the contents of logrotate.d by getting out of this editor, and let's have a look how many files are in there. So we see that our syslog itself is there. Upstart, which is for upstarting the network services and interfaces, this controls that. We have Ubuntu Firewall, and we have APT, which is advanced package for getting or updating our Debian based packages, whether we want to update them or remove them. So this is advanced packaging tool. We have cups, we have depackaging. So let's have a look at this Ubuntu Firewall. What does it say? This is available by default. I have not created it since Ubuntu Firewall comes installed in this Ubuntu system. So this logrotate configuration file has been created, or the stanza for that has been created. If I go into its details, we see that it says that the log file will be var log Ubuntu Firewall, and rotate is 4 copies of that, then weekly, then missing OK means that even if the file is missing, that's all right, keep on rotating it. If there is empty, then do not rotate it. It is compressing it, and if it wants to compress is by introducing some delay. And then also this one is very important, that end the script, so that this gets executed properly. Otherwise, if you do not put it at the end, this line end script, it does not work and generates errors. Now, if you want our Linux server to act as a syslog server for other machines, then there are a couple of things that you need to know. First and foremost is the syslog configuration file. The files that we had just seen were about the facilities, but not the main configuration file for syslog server, which is at etc and rsyslog.conf. This is the same as in Debian based and in CentOS operating system. So if I press enter, and if I bring it down a little bit, then these are the options that for providing UDP syslog reception, we can disable these commands, which means that load the model for UDP and run on this port. If you want to change the port, we can change this over here. Similarly, this will provide the TCP based syslogging facility based on specifically on port number 514. And if I bring it down a little bit, we have got some global directives, like what are the default files that are created, who will be the owner, group owner, and also the modes, and what will the sys mask or the u mask for that. And if I bring it further down, we see that over here it says that include all the configurations files that are defined in rsyslog.d, the configuration files that we had just seen, which were like one was 50-default configuration file and the other one was 10- or 20- Ubuntu Firewall configuration file. Now by default, what I can do is that I just need to bring it over here, and if I want to just for showing you the working of this, let me just remove this one, and I need to have the root privileges. So I do a sudo, give in my password and get logged in, and now I uncomment these lines and save this file. and restart the syslog service by typing in sudo service syslog or rsyslog syslog and restart. So once the service gets restarted, we should be able to send our remote machine's message, or this machine should accept the remote message, because now it is listening on UDP port number 512. If I type in, let's say, netstat minus TCP UDP and for all, and if I press enter, we see that now it is listening on TCP or on UDP, on UDP port number 514. So what I'm going to do now is that let's open up another terminal and try to SSH in this machine or in other machine. Let's say in other machine, which is the machine that I'll open up the terminal for. And what we are going to do is that we will configure that machine so that it sends its authentication based message onto this rsyslog server that we have just created. So let's try to do that. So I'm here in another Ubuntu machine, and what I'm gonna do is that let's just do sudo and then vi, then etc and rsyslog.d, and then the default configuration file, which was 50default.com. and once we get logged into it, let's just say that instead of sending these auth and auth messages to our local var.log file, send them to using UDP to this machine, which is over here, and its IP address is 192.168.1.20. So let's do that. Let's remove this line and save it and restart the syslog service over here as well by typing in sudo service syslog and restart. Now once the process gets started, and if I come, let's say, onto this and do a tail of var log and auth.log, now apparently it should also get the messages coming from this machine if I try to get logged into this machine. And since this is another machine, I am not logging into it. I am already logged into it, so I need to open up an SSH connection to this machine itself. So let's try to do that. It was kind of difficult to explain what I'm trying to do. In fact, I'm going to open up an SSH connection with myself, so and give it the wrong password or maybe the right password. So let me just put in tail -f so that it gets updated in real time. So now if anything comes in regarding auth, it will be updated in real time. I type in localhost and it is saying that connection refused, so SSH service is not running. Let's try to run it by typing in, I believe it is in user spin ssh or user bin ssh. Okay, and I press enter, or maybe if there is service running, so sudo service ssh. Okay, so service is not there. I need to type in the path, which is user bin ssh, and as soon as I press enter to run the SSH command, we see that a message has been sent on to this machine, which is a different machine from machine which is OS, which is the name of my machine. And it says that the user home Ahmed, which is the present working directory, user was root and command was user bin ssh. So session was open for user root for Ahmed and session closed for user Ahmed, because we had not given any password in there.